Hey guys, and welcome back to our Let's Explore series, How to Solo. Today, in our continuation of our Burning Crusade raids, we're going to be taking a look at Magtheridon's Lair. Magtheridon's Lair is probably the simplest and most straightforward to solo now out of all of the Outland raids, because it is just one single boss, very small, very similar to what Onyxia's Lair was in Vanilla WoW, just a couple trash mobs, a little bit of walking, and then you're at the boss. Magtheridon's Lair is the last extension in the your tier 4 progression as you're trying to accumulate your tier 4 pieces and things of that sort. After Magtheridon's Lair, between Magtheridon's Lair, Karazhan, and Gruul's Lair, that is all three of the raids you will need, for your tier 4 pieces. Magtheridon's Lair doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of transmoggable gear that is of note that's really worth getting, except for a couple things. It's a lot of trinkets, neck pieces. There's a couple pairs of gloves. There's one polearm that is worth looking at in there. It's called the Glaive of the Pit. But then other than that, it's really kind of just worth it just to come in for an achievement. Now, Magtheridon's Lair is located in Hellfire Peninsula in the Hellfire Citadel. Same place that we have Hellfire Ramparts, Blood Furnace, Shattered Halls, and all those things. And it's actually down here on the bottom, on the backside. And if you come down into here, there is the entrance down here at the bottom. We have two guys down here looking for some run-throughs. Now, there's no attunement, no requirements to get in. You just walk in and you can do your thing. So you can see over here, very small room, entrance, pathways on either side, boss in the center. Now, all of your trash mobs that are in here, they're actually labeled as bosses, which is quite interesting. They're not really looked at as trash mobs. So different types of CC will not actually work on them. Really not too much of an issue now, because again, damage is so high you pretty much one or two shot most of them. Any trash mobs that you do not kill before going into the raid will get aggroed in, but it doesn't matter which way you go, left or right, either one, it doesn't matter. And again, if the trash mobs get pulled in to the boss fight, if you don't end up going through and killing them all, it really shouldn't be too consequential, because again, everything's so low health, and at this point in the game most people are pretty well geared anyways to where they have enough AoE damage to where it really doesn't matter. Now, what we're looking at before we do get started with the raid is we have Magtheridon himself, who as you can see is not attackable yet, and there are 5 orcs scattered throughout here in this room called Hellfire Channelers. Excuse me. What these mobs do is they are helping keep Magtheridon in place, which kind of leads us to a little bit of a lore segment. Before Illidan came to Outland, right after Outland faced its own cataclysm and sundering, Magtheridon was actually the ruler of Outland from the Black Temple. He took it over and was ruling there with an iron fist, and then when Illidan came through with Kael'thas, Lady Vashj, and his other generals, he basically kicked the snot out of Magtheridon and imprisoned him in the bottom here in this lair. Now, what's kind of cool about this is when you're running through Blood Furnace, whether you're just coming through for transmog stuff or you're leveling up an alt, you get to that final room in the Blood Furnace where you fight that last boss, and if you look down underneath, you can actually see Magtheridon chained up down here, and he actually kind of yells some things throughout the raid. Now, the reason that Magtheridon is being held here lore-wise is Illidan is actually using him here, and he's taking his blood and using him to corrupt the orcs to continue making fell orcs for his army. And a lot of that is heavy steeped in Warcraft 3 lore, which if you haven't ever gone through and played just for the story, I recommend it. Now, some things that are worth mentioning for Magtheridon's Lair. You are going to want to kill all 5 of these pretty quickly, because once you start the fight, the gates close and it's on a timer, and then Magtheridon will be released, and then you'll have him and the mobs to deal with, and these actually heal each other. So I do recommend laying down some pretty heavy AoE or just some heavy single target damage and swapping pretty quickly. Their heals can be interrupted, but other than that, it shouldn't be too difficult. I had a little bit of trouble with this when I was freshly 90 when I was a fresh gear 90 with like greens and things like that. But again, at this point, epics and just high item level is so easy to attain, it really shouldn't be too bad. So we're just going to go ahead and start the fight and go through the rest of the mechanics as they come up. So here we go. So again, we're going to drop the first one. There's the second one. Sweeping strikes. And as you can see, the other mobs that were in here are casting at us through the walls. And now after you have defeated all 5 of those dudes, Magtheridon himself does become released. But if you do not defeat them quick enough, he will release on his own. He does have a fear mechanic, or I guess I should say a disorient mechanic. It's not quite a fear. If your DPS is lower or you're taking your time on this fight, I do recommend keeping your back up against a wall as best you can, simply for the fact that he does have a knockback, and if you're not paying attention, that can throw you off for a bit. Eventually, as he does these things where the earthquake starts bumping around and then you kind of just start flying all over the place, which can be a problem again if you're a caster. And then eventually, throughout the course of the raid, if it lasts long enough, he does his earthquake mechanic again where the walls start to crumble and things start falling down and doing some pretty gnarly damage. You get stunned and it just gets ugly. So, but that's Magtheridon's Lair. As you can see, very simple. He's a big dude. I always thought the Pit Lords looked really cool. They were one of my favorite classes to play in Warcraft 3 Dota. I always enjoyed playing the Pit Lord. They have pretty heavy lore when it comes to like the orcs and their background. When it comes to Warcraft, if you remember old school Orgrimmar, I don't know if it's there still because I haven't played a Horde character in so long. But old school Orgrimmar, out in front of Thrall's throne room, there was the body, the corpse, and the skull of Asgalar, I believe his name is, the old Pit Lord that Grommash Hellscream killed, which he was notorious for. And then just all throughout, which Outland, they were pretty heavy lore-wise. And I'm excited for Warlords of Draenor, seeing how they'll all kind of play a role again. Loot-wise, he will drop the Pit Lord Satchel, so if you're looking to maybe get some bigger bag space, you don't quite have 20 slots or bigger yet, this is worth coming in here to get. You can only carry one of them, so if you already have it, it's pointless. He does carry a bag of gems, which has stuff like for jewel crafters you can cut. Here is the Glaive of the Pit, which is kind of cool because we haven't had that drop yet. You can see it's got a natural red fiery glow to it, which is pretty cool. Just some cloth gloves, and then your tier pieces, your tier chest pieces. Now, I think it is worth mentioning actually before we kind of bring this video to a close, a lot of these tier chest pieces, or just the tier pieces in general from tier 4, tier 5, and I think tier 6 even, from the Burning Crusade, a lot of them could actually be turned in for the reskinned PvP versions of the gear. So if you're looking at like gearing up maybe a twink, you can come in here, get carried through, pick those up, or if you just want the transmogs of both versions, you can, instead of feeling obligated to farm the honor to get all the pieces. It doesn't work like that for all of them, but I know some of them it does. And much like Onyxia and Nefarian from classic vanilla WoW, we have Magtheridon's head, which we can pick up, and it starts a quest. We'll take it back to honor hold, and you get like rewarded for it and things like that, which is kind of cool. You see they put his head up on a pike and stuff like that, and celebrate our victories. Huzzah. If you have already completed the quest, though, it won't let you complete it again. But that's Magtheridon's Lair. As you can see, very straightforward, very simple. Again, really the only reason worth coming in here for me personally, except for maybe achievements, and if you want that Glaive of the Pit, is again for your tier chest tokens. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave it in the comment section. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.